Hello, and thank you for joining me for Chapter 3 of Flatfoot Fox and the Case of the Nosy Otter. Enjoy! Chapter 3 Terribly Worried Woodchuck. The footprints they followed zigged this way and zagged that way. Zigzag, zigzag. Flatfoot Fox stopped for a moment to study the ground. "Aha!" he said. "Now there are other footprints too. They must belong to the kidnapper." "His footprints zigzag too. Did the kidnapper know he might be followed?" asked Secretary Bird. "Was he trying to throw us off his trail by zigging and zagging?" "It seems that way," Flatfoot Fox answered, "but it is not easy to fool the smartest detective in the world." "Can you tell who the kidnapper is from his footprints?" Secretary Bird wanted to know. Before Flatfoot Fox could answer, a voice spoke from behind them. "Who are you?" it demanded. "What do you want?" They spun around. "The kidnapper!" Secretary Bird shouted. "We've caught the kidnapper!" "Kidnapper? I'm Terribly Worried Woodchuck. Why are you calling me a kidnapper?" he asked. "We've just found your footprints, next to the footprints of little Nosy Otter, who is missing." Flatfoot Fox gave Terribly Worried Woodchuck a suspicious look. "You monster!" Secretary Bird screamed. Terribly Worried Woodchuck looked over his shoulder. "Where?" he cried. He was scared. "You're the monster! You kidnapped little Nosy Otter! The case is solved!" Secretary Bird announced. "I have solved this case!" "Nothing is solved until I say so," Flatfoot Fox said. "Don't be ridiculous," said Terribly Worried Woodchuck. "Why would I kidnap anybody? Don't I have enough problems?" "What problems?" Flatfoot Fox wanted to know. "How can you ask? Do you have to come up from your underground home every year to look for your shadow?" "No," said Flatfoot Fox. "I don't have to look for my shadow. I always know where it is." "I toss and turn in my sleep all winter," Terribly Worried Woodchuck complained. "I worry whether I will see my shadow when I come out. If I do, there will be 6 more weeks of winter. Everyone will say it's my fault." "That's so silly," Secretary Bird said. "You're just a woodchuck. Don't you know that the groundhog is supposed to do that? That's why we have Groundhog Day." Flatfoot Fox shook his head. "He's the groundhog. A groundhog is a woodchuck. A woodchuck is a groundhog." "I hate being called a hog. It isn't dignified. I am a very dignified woodchuck," said Terribly Worried Woodchuck. "What happens if you don't see your shadow?" asked Secretary Bird. "The spring comes early, of course. Then everyone likes me." Flatfoot Fox was impatient. "This doesn't help us find little Nosy Otter, and we still don't know whether you are the kidnapper. Don't forget that the footprints near yours were made by little Nosy Otter. Where have you hidden him?" "He may have followed me. Otters are very curious, you know," said Terribly Worried Woodchuck. "Curious about what?" asked Flatfoot Fox. "Everything." "Do you mean you haven't seen him?" Secretary Bird asked. "No, I haven't seen him. I don't want to see him. I have no time for curious baby otters." "What do we do now?" asked Secretary Bird as he and Flatfoot Fox left. "We'll keep on doing what we've been doing." "You mean follow Nosy Otter's footprints?" Secretary Bird asked. "Of course," Flatfoot Fox answered. Behind them, they could hear Terribly Worried Woodchuck wail, "Why me? Why my shadow? It isn't fair." Well, as Chapter 3 has come to a close, we found our first suspect. But it didn't seem like he was the one who committed the kidnapping, did it? He claimed that he was just worried about his shadow. Did you know that a woodchuck is the same as a groundhog, and a groundhog is the same as a woodchuck? I didn't before I read this story. Sometimes you can learn new things even in little small books. So hopefully you've enjoyed this chapter, and I look forward to reading the next one for you. Take care.